So now that we have pretty much the logic in place that is going to finish the unequipping, we need a way to test it. And same thing goes for the equipping part. So what we're going to end up doing is go ahead and create the weapon module and go ahead and start working on basically just a simple test, firearm that implements this interface here so we can gather the information and actually perform, a proper test. So to begin, let's go ahead and create that Unreal module and let's just call it weapon module. Now I'm naming it weapon because if we decide to, add say grenades, the knife, that kind of stuff, it can all go in there and it kind of makes sense. So inside of here, let's go to the build.cs. I already know we're going to need some things and we don't need slate. So we can remove those dependencies. And like usual, add the gameplay abilities, add the gameplay tags, and add the core module. And lastly, because we're going to be inheriting from SKG firearm, we need the SKG shooter framework actors. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and add a Unreal class, all classes, SKG firearm, and we're going to put this in a folder called firearm. And I guess we'll quite literally just call this firearm. So let's go ahead and create that. We can remove tick and the remaining comments. And let's see, it did not include that, but we have it here. So my guess is it just did not have enough time to actually go through and, like initialize it. So let's just go ahead and include actor skg firearm.h. So once we have that, we want the held actor interface. So let's also include the interfaces held actor interface.h and inherit from the I held actor interface. So we want the functions get unequipped montage and get upper body anim layer. So get unequipped montage and get upper body animation layer. And for the time being, I'm just going to make a protected section. So U property, we'll do edit anywhere. It doesn't really matter. We'll just do category equals firearm. I think that's sufficient. And we'll have a D object pointer to a U anim montage. And this will be the unequipped montage. And then we'll also have a T subclass of U anim instance, which will be the upper body layer. So let's go ahead and create the definitions of those two functions. And unequipped montage returns unequip montage. And get upper body animation layer returns upper body layer. Also forgot we need to finish removing tick and set b can never tick to false. So all we're doing for now is just making a test blueprint. So let's actually go ahead, compile and launch. We're basically going to make a test blueprint of this firearm so we can go ahead and set the unequip montage and upper body layer and more easily just so we can test this portion out. Okay, so we have an issue on the SKG zombies module for the push model. So let's go to SKG zombies, build.cs, and yep, forgot to do net core. So after engine, we'll just do net core, and now we can go ahead, compile and launch. Okay, once we are back in the editor, we can actually close out of these here. And let's just go ahead and make a simple test where we're doing the same thing with these test curves here. So blueprint class off of the firearm class we just made, bp underscore temp firearm. Okay, and firearm mesh component, We can just go ahead and hard code it to the 1911. And then we also have, let's see, where are they at? Right here. The, what do you call it? Unequipped montage. And same thing as kind of everything else. Actually, let's just get rid of the 1911 because we're going to be adding the data asset as needed. So we just have the unequipped montage, which we don't actually have any of. So let's go ahead and go under assets. We have everything else. Let's just go ahead and do player. And this will be the montage. Well, actually, scratch that. Let's delete that folder. Go to weapons, go to 1911, animation, character, and we'll actually do them inside of here. So we're going to end up subfoldering, these and adding montages. So for now, animation, animation montage for the mannequin, and we're going to call it AM for anim montage underscore unequip. So search for unequip. Here we have the one for the 1911, which we can go ahead and throw right in like so. Very simple animation. And let's actually rename this one to AM underscore 1911 underscore unequip instead. So that's going to be the unequipped montage. And then we need a upper body layer. So what we need to do here is create off of SKGSF core animation layer upper body. We want a anim layer upper body firearm. So we can right click off this, create a child anim blueprint with skeleton for the SK mannequin. So we create a child and just drag it back into our character folder where we just made our montage. So this will be the upper body underscore, instead of firearm, it'll be 1911. So let's open this up, go to the equip, and we want the 1911 equip. And then for the idle, we want the 1911 idle, which is not having a preview. Okay, so I guess those just need to be open to have a preview. So we have our upper body anim layer. Let's go to our temp firearm and set the upper body layer like so to be the upper body 1911. Okay, so that handles kind of those. So let's go to our our pawn, player pawn, and we're going to change the class to spawn to be that temp firearm. And then same thing, we can use this 1911 data asset like so. So let's actually also unplug the attached actor to component because we want the inventory or the equipment component to do things for us. So let's just press play, make sure everything actually does work. And we need to find the temp firearm, which is right here. It does have the mesh. I just wanted to make sure of that because now we actually can call the function on the equipment component, which I just realized I forgot to add to the pawn. So let's go ahead and close out of the editor. We can go to our SKG pawn, go to our components, and we want to add a T object pointer of U equipment component. So let's forward declare it and just call it equipment component. Let's go to the constructor. Equipment component equals create default subobject of U equipment component and just give it the name of equipment component. So we need to move this up because it is part of our, our own classes. So now that we've given the equipment component to our pawn, we are good to go there. So we can actually call these test functions here. So we want to add an equipped actor, at which point we also will want to call set held actor to try to make sure that everything is actually running as expected. And we still need to do some work to the actual, the animation blueprint as well. So we'll have to get started on that. So let's open everything back up. We don't need that anim layer. We just need the player pawn. So we can grab the equipment component and add an equipped actor. So that adds the 1911 as an equipped actor. And now we are basically ready to go ahead and try to equip it. However, we don't have the anim BP set up. So if we go to the anim BP, the anim graph, there is nothing more than the locomotion, blend space. So what we want to do is we're not going to do this fully, but we're going to go to class settings, implemented interfaces. We want to add the ALI SKGSF example, just because it's kind of already done for us with these two anim layers. So we can drag out the upper body anim layer like so, and we'll just plug in the locomotion cache, doesn't really matter in this case, and plug it in. So now, when we hit play, you will kind of see we are running around in the A pose. And if we set the upper body layer to be, say, the 1911 that we just made, you can see it went immediately into equipping the actual layer. So it is overriding the entire lower body and everything like that. So that is something we will deal with pretty soon, actually. So we have our anim BP set up, ready to be, have its animation layer linked. Now we just need to do it when we we call set held actor. So we can plug in the held actor like so. And I'm actually going to do a delay. So we'll do a delay of 1 second. So I'm expecting something wrong to happen. And it seems like there were no issues. So we had nothing to unequip, which makes sense. So that is because we need to actually do the equip part. So we called, what was it? We called set held actor, which triggers the unequip, which triggers unequip actor, because of replication, which should fire the unequip montage. But we don't have a actor to unequip, so nothing happens. We just jump right into on unequip complete, which would be this portion here because this is invalid currently. So we're in the held actor. So what we need to do is not perform an equip montage, but we need to link the anim layers. And yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to be doing for the time being. So we need to get the, what was it called? Get pawn mesh. Yeah, get pawn mesh. And let's see, can we? Yes, we can. So right off the pawn mesh, we can go ahead and link anim class layers. And we want to link, so we need to get from the current held actor, the actual, what do you call it? I held actor interface. So we can copy this line here to save a bit of time and just cast the current held actor. So we want the held actor interface. We want to get the upper body anim layer. So let's print out a log temp, warning, text, linking anim or linking upper body anim layer. So let's give that a try. So let's go ahead and rebuild. Okay, and once that is done, let's give it a try. So we have a crash, and let's see where. So line 93 is triggering something. So right here on the skeletal mesh component, specifically the link anim class layers function. So instead, I do know we can do this off the anim instance. So let's grab the get anim instance, and we can link anim class layers from there, which might resolve the problem. So let's go ahead and give that a try and just see where we're at. Okay, as it just loaded, it just occurred to me that we forgot to set, well, I forgot to set the actual pawn mesh tag. So in the player pawn, as you can see, if we look for get pawn mesh, it's looking for a component with the pawn mesh tag, which we never set. So we're going to do get mesh, add tag, or not add tag, search for tags. We have component tags. We can do dot add, and we want the pawn mesh tag. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and compile and relaunch. And we should actually be able to have access to our pawn mesh because this was returning, something that was invalid before. Okay, once we are back in the editor, let's go ahead and give it another try. So, as you saw, we just had the equip. So we hit play, wait a second, and then the equip happens. So I'm going to bump this up to 2 so we can kind of see from, the side, like so. So that is good. So let's go ahead and try as client and just see if anything breaks. Actually, I just realized we're doing this locally. So this would run client side, which we don't want. So let's wrap in a has authority check. And let's also just do just a general delay of like 2 seconds. So hit play. And there we go. So we have the equip. So that is a good sign overall. That kind of means that, we have our equipping kind of functioning as we would expect. And there's not a whole lot else that we need to do. So, well, there are a few things. First one being, obviously, we need to attach the 1911. So basically when this portion here is the equip portion, which we're going to end up making another function, which will be equip current held actor. And that would go through and, do this logic. So it's going to handle the attaching to IK handgun. It's going to handle linking the anim layers. It's going to handle linking the appropriate procedural layer and just that kind of stuff. So with all that out of the way, I will see you in the next video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, where you can also gain early access to this entire series.